talk about it this morning. Just take us through your night if you don't mind, and kind of what that was like.
It was awesome. I mean, literally, not disbelief, but just gratitude on the field, man. Like, you're lucky if you get one of those nights in your entire life, and to have two like that in a 2-year time span or whatever is like, I couldn't believe it, honestly. And then just a really cool moment for our team, you know, out there in left field, and not surprising at all, just super like dialed in, focused. It was fun to see them, you know, celebrate the fruits of the labor that's been put in to put us at this point. And there's 2 teams out of 307 still playing baseball now, and that was cool. And then you know, you do the media thing, you get on the bus. That was cool. I mean, that was a cool 5-minute bus ride. Like, I'm not gonna lie. And then, like, we needed to like talk. Like, just the chaos of all that was great. So then we went to our meeting room here and just broke down the game a little bit. And I wanted a few of the players to talk about their thoughts in the game, and so I had a few of them up to do that, which was great. And then we outlined today what the goals were to accomplish for today, and then leading into tomorrow. And then, like, coming back in here, it was an awesome scene. You know, reminded me of 23 a lot. This one felt a little more intimate. I don't know if it was because of the hotel, but it's like all the players' families, you know, and then our biggest fans, if you will, like the ones that have really made a difference in the program for a number of years. And then, so it took me like an hour and a half to get back to the elevator, you know, after that. And then I went back to my room, and I was just sitting there. I was talking to Maureen. She came by for a minute, and then Trey Morgan texted me and was like, "Hey, coach." And I was like, "Hey, you gotta come up here. I'm not going back down there." And I ordered a pizza and sat there and talked to Trey for a while and had some pizza, and then they just kept rerunning SportsCenter. So I watched it about 5 times and fell asleep at 2:50 in the morning.
As a coach, what was the biggest lesson you learned from that 2016 season and that 2016 series?
2016, so that was at Arizona, first time here. I'm very thankful for that. I think that, you know, when you get to play all 8 games of the tournament, you get a kind of a feel for everything, where to practice, the intensity of it. I feel like that was really valuable and really helped, you know, when I came to LSU, just in general. And, you know, the playing with a lead, very important. That really stuck out, that one. I think the balls were different at that time. Park did not play offensive at all. I think we made it to the finals, and I think we hit 1 home run in 8 games, you know, here on that team. You know, and then just, you know, it's baseball, and you learn that real quick. And just, I've always lived by not attaching circumstances to play. I think that's like the worst thing that you can do, and that's truly the case. And that team they played great here. We just needed 1 more base hit, you know, and otherwise we would have won the championship that year too. So I think probably just getting the totality of what Omaha is was probably my biggest takeaway.
Coach, we saw games like yesterday a lot this season, Kansas State, Nebraska, North Dakota State, you can go on and on. How have you seen this team kind of exemplify national championship level traits all season?
Yeah, I think traits, behaviors, if you will. I think its best quality is its consistency to commit to what needs to be done to be successful on a daily basis. And baseball is tough because even when you do that, it doesn't mean you always get rewarded, you know, with the result. It's just the nature of the game and how it's built. But I would probably say just consistency in approach, commitment to task at hand, the never quit thing, like that's a real deal. Like these guys they believe in the no clock thing about as good as any team I've ever seen. Very good in close games, you know, because those just come back to fundamentals. That's all they come back to, and execution. And again, it's very boring, but success and winning are very boring.
Jay, the Milam's grounder in the ninth, did it flash in your head for a second that might be a double play and it's over?
Yeah, for sure. I was like, oh, it was kind of like he's gonna have to hurry, get down the line, and then it was over far enough that he kind of had his body turned, and it looked like he didn't think about doing anything but taking the easy out there. And I mean, that's part of the game. I'm not. Hey, like we caught a break maybe, but he might have been safe too.
Right.
So it's something you never know, and glad we'll never find out, I guess.
Watching those Sports Center highlights last night, I noticed they caught Jared. Looks like he's talking to his bat, going up there before the run. Do you know what he says? Did you ever ask him?
No, I mean he's had a billion college at bats, probably more than any junior in college baseball that's playing this year, and he's strong in his routines. And I thought he was incredibly slowed down last night. I mean, you could sense it and see it in the last one. I was like, he's exactly where he needs to be to have a chance to have success right here, and he did, and that was great. The home run, I mean, this is super odd. Like, I actually didn't see it. I'm always standing on the top step, and I took 2 steps down and I started walking towards Chase at the time, and we had Jacob up and was telling them what we were gonna do, and then he hit it, and then I just saw the center fielder running back, and I was like, oh, that's sweet. So that made my decision for me right there, because we were gonna do something different, tighter behind, and what a great performance by him last night, and that's how you win here, when your best players are your best players.
Jason, after these post-game pressers, you always bring somebody else and you always compliment the guys that you bring with you. It feels like you really do have an entire team of leaders. Just understand, I guess, how much easier does that make your job? Is that a lot different than 23?
Yeah, I haven't spent a lot of time, drawing comparisons. I think always try to keep a log of what works, what maybe resonates with the players that is transferable, and there's a lot less things than you might think, because human beings are different and sets of circumstances are different, and the messaging in which you give your team is only as good as the context that they receive it. And so you have to understand how your players, your people are going to receive those messages. And I think we found a sweet spot to this team, and it doesn't mean one's better, that's not it at all. They're both unbelievable. I mean, I'm the most blessed human being on the planet, to get to coach Dylan Cruz and Danny Dickinson, 2 great players, a little bit different, even last year we didn't win a championship, but Luke Holman, I love Luke Holman, they're all great, and they're all respond differently to different things, and it's just figuring that out and then get them to kind of do it collectively, and that's what these guys have done. They've been incredibly together.
Hey Jay, to the fans that
Eric,
yeah,
how you doing, man? Good to see you.
Good. To the fans that might watch college baseball just during the College World Series that are out there, they may see Coastal Carolina in here and think, oh, that's a Cinderella, even though they insist they're not. But with kind of the way the college sports are going, how do you see this in terms of teams like that getting to the finals down the road, given what's going on in college sports?
Well, if you think of one that can, it's definitely them. And this is one of the best programs in the sport, and for a long time. We're not talking about now or even then 9 years from when they won it in 2016. Long before that, as I'm trying to build my coaching career, I'm paying attention to Skip Bertman, to Augie Garrido, to Mike Gillespie. I was also paying attention to Gary Gilmore. He's a phenomenal coach, and obviously I've known Kevin forever, and out on the recruiting trails with him and as a friend, and how he worked, and I mean, very impressive. So, to me, if there's one that can continue to do it and match up and compete, it's Coastal Carolina. However you want to take that, Gonzaga basketball, Boise State football, the ones that have been sustainable for decades, that's who they are. And this is no surprise to me that we are playing them. And I don't know like necessarily where their age of their roster is or who's in the draft or seniors or any of that, but as long as Coach Snall's there, they're not going anywhere for a long time.
Coach, how come this team seems to always make the winning play or have the big swing and change the game?
I think they have great maturity in their approach. They understand winning and the right mindset or mind frame to be able to do the things they need to do at the time they need to do it to positively or put our team on the positive side of things. And then they have ability, and so they can go execute it. So it's a good group of guys that are very committed to doing what the team needs and have worked really hard, to physically be able to do it.
What goes into picking a team slogan, T-shirt, or motto, and how well did you hit on who you were be and toughing together?
Yeah, it actually was pretty easy, honestly, this year, and that's usually a good sign when it comes like that of what's our group and what's going to be required, okay? And so where that came from is, it's a 23, we win it, we're back here playing for it in 25, like, it was a good team last year. Like, we had a tough 4 weeks against the best teams in the sport, but it was a really good team. But we were losing a lot of players. And where do we maybe fall short? And it was maybe just a hair of toughness, and to me, that's just your ability to focus on your job no matter the circumstances that are going on. And that's more than just baseball. And then the together piece was there's 12 players that played in the game last year. There's 10 guys coming in from the transfer portal. There's 2 or 3 junior college players, and there's 10 high school freshmen. So I knew they could play baseball, but we're gonna have to we don't have time to just everybody be off on their own plan and agenda. And so that part came really easy, and that was day one. Hey, this is what this year is going to be about. That's August 24th. If you come out of this meeting with 2 things, this is the blueprint for this year. And then over Christmas, after you go through the fall, okay, what are the challenges that are going to be presented to this team? And we still had some position sorting out to do. We had some role sorting out to do because we had good players. They were going to have something that really drove the together part home. And then it was the team over me, which is an old deal. And I came to that through just kind of doing some research. And, our slogan in regards to that is, at LSU baseball, I will always place the needs of the team above my own. And that includes me, you know what I mean? What is best for the team? And these guys have done that as good as anybody. And it makes it where you want to keep going, you know what I mean? Regardless of result or circumstance of this weekend, there'll be a piece of me that's a little bit empty next week because I literally just want to keep going with these guys.
Has Coach Schnall put his own stamp on the identity of this Coastal team compared to what you've seen from Coach Gilmore's teams over the years?
Well, I would say yes, because he's been the primary recruiter for decades. Well, I don't know decades, but they had an initial run, and Gary's one of the best coaches in college baseball history, and Kevin was getting the players, but he's such a sharp baseball guy that they very rarely make any recruiting mistakes, and their fundamentals are exemplary. They remind me of the old Augie Garrido, Cal State Fullerton, play the game the right way. And I'm sure that they have. I know he's very competitive. His pride in how he's always done his job, whether that's this year as the head coach or as the recruiting guy, has always stood out to me. And I would call him a friend. We've known each other a long time, and he's done a great job there. And I don't anticipate that slowing down anytime soon.
I assume you've gotten a bit of head start on just scouting this Coastal team. What have been your early takeaways toward that? Are there any similarities to the 2016 team?
Well, I think that's so far out of my mind, I wouldn't be able to comment on that. But I would be able to say you have to win the game against them. They're not going to give you the game based on their way that they play. Their pitchers throw strikes. They don't give away a lot. They play really sound defense. They do a great job getting the leadoff man on. They do a great job of running the bases. They do a great job in the bunting game, and those are like program traits. Listening to Gary Gilmore talk about bunting in 2008 or 9, and like, wow, like no wonder they're better at it than everybody else. And we played them when I was at San Diego in 2010, 2011, and 2013, and we were scheduling them because they were going to win 50 games. So I mean, they just do things right. So I mean, that was clearly the case. It's always been the case, and it's the case now. So that would be the similarities, I would say. That was obviously have a great catcher, great starting rotation. Really good, skilled, competitive position players in the box. So just a really complete team.
Within the first 3 games here, how well does that set your pitching staff up for the weekend, especially Cade and Anthony on both games?
Well, it's probably better than had we had to play tonight. There's no question about that. It's a double elimination tournament, as I've said. You would have had tomorrow off regardlessly, which would have helped. But, I mean, you'd have had to make a decision tonight about how you were going to attack that game, and you have to win to stay in the tournament if you're in that scenario, which that's 9 innings of somebody, so it's probably 2 guys are completely unavailable for the weekend. And when you're playing a team of this caliber, to have everybody have at least 2 days off, it's a big deal. I didn't want to say that until we actually won, but now you got me now.
These are some challenging situations, right? Just mentally, emotionally, coming down from a win like that. But the team's done that after the regionals and the supers. How have you seen them approach these kinds of situations?
Yeah, I think they've been great at it, and just because the address is different, it's Omaha instead of Baton Rouge. A lot of things for us do not change, including how we chose to handle today. And how we'll handle tomorrow. And I think these guys have had a lot of big wins, as you just stated, against great teams, close, high emotional games. And I think this is a common thread of really good teams is they know who to be, when they need to be it, where they need to be it, how they need to be it. And these guys have that. I have zero concerns of readiness for the game on Saturday. And literally everything that we're doing is a extension of how we got here in the first place. And I have good faith in that, and there's a lot more fanfare around it, obviously with it being here, which is great, and they've earned that. And so they should, as we've talked about, kind of 10 days, however long we've been here already, dive into that, embrace that. They deserve it. They deserve people to be excited about what they're doing because it's inspiring in terms of how that they play and how they compete on the field. And then to get reset, you got to be able to relax a little bit and then train and be prepared for what's next. And we got all that wired.
Jay, just for fun, who would you have started tonight if you had to play tonight? Since you don't
Somebody that took and passed 12 units at LSU in the spring semester.
Is that kind of the key, you think, this year's team, like the depth in the bullpen, and you seem to have no shortage of guys that can come in and produce this time?
I mean, I think the pitching staff is obviously clearly a strength, and baseball was built around that because if you pitch well, the game's within striking distance, and then you can execute offensively and manage the game. And if you get that big 3-run homer, it carries a lot of weight because your staff is always keeping you close. Like, I don't have any idea where we rank statistically nationally in a lot of those categories, but it's got to be high. And I'm proud of that. It's not just the championship year and this year. For the last 3 years, we've pitched at a really high level, especially you consider the conference we play in, the parks that we play in. We're on a really nice run of developing major league talent on the mound, and Coach Yeski deserves a lot of credit for that. Jamie deserves a lot of credit for that. We've recruited well, to that, and I'm excited to see them execute this weekend, and that's obviously something we want to keep going.
Each week this.
Ability to limit walks.
What's that?
Your all's ability to limit walks. I haven't really looked at the numbers, but it feels like you guys have really been throwing strikes.
I just think it's good pitchers. I mean, if I see, so Cade started the first game, going to be a big leaguer. Shorts came in, it's going to be a big leaguer. Evans came in, going to be a big leaguer. Einstein going to be a big leaguer. Evans, he's going to be a big leaguer. Shores again, going to be a big leaguer. Cooper Williams, I think, is going to be a big leaguer. So, and then last night in Game 3, you're going Zach Cowan, who's one of the MVPs of this team. That's nothing but a strike thrower. And then you're going to, we went to Newt, chance to be a big leaguer. Okay, back to Shores, and then Jacob Myers, definitely going to be a big leaguer. So, I think it's the right guys rolling out there, and there's some that haven't pitched here yet that I feel the same way about.
Each week this postseason, you've given the guys a challenge. Look, go win. We get to go out and have a nice dinner. They answer the bell again. How enjoyable is it that you can sort of give them a motivation like that, and they sort of seize it?
They like food. I know that. It's just cool. It's just something we started a couple years ago, and I mean, and I'd almost forgotten about this one, believe it or not, but they're out in the outfield hugging, celebrating, and they're like, we're going to, and then, and I was like, yep, I said it. So they're going, I'm not going. I got work to do. They're going. But that's good. They deserve it. And, one of the things we pride ourselves on running this like a professional organization and treating them like major league players. And so they've earned it. They deserve it. And hopefully they bring something back for the coaches.
Are you studying
Medium. Yeah.
When you're studying a team, what's your process? Sort of, do you start with the pitchers and work
No,
with hitters? Or how do you
that's a
sort
good
of-
question. I believe I talked about this once this year. I always start with the hitters and the offense to set the pitching up for what they need to do, because there's like throwing elements to prepare for before we actually play. So I usually start there and then try to get a feel for where we would slot certain guys so you can get them out ahead of where we would utilize them. And then the pitching obviously is keyhole to who the starter is going to be, and then in the leverage spots in the game where they're going to go to. And like every championship team, like these guys have a way and a path, and they're very well coached. I mean, you saw it in the first game. They started a guy that was their number 3 starter, and then brought in a guy that was their 1 or 2. And the importance of the first game, knowing they had a really good guy in the hole, who was either their 1 or their 2. They pitched well against Oregon State and set them up, and knew the guy that could recover because of his style of pitching, and they played great offense yesterday and put themselves in a good spot. So we'll keyhole those guys that they'll use and they'll go to, and trying to come up with a plan to be successful.
Coach, in 2016, you said that loss was going to stick, and you went on to say that it's not for you, it's for those players.
Yeah.
How much, I know you have a lot to think about, but how much do you think about them? And
All the time.
How much,
Yeah.
How many of them have reached out to you?
Yeah, it's amazing. Cody Raymer, one of our best players. I think he led the country in hits as a coach, and he's here and he's coaching a travel team. And I got a big picture of him hugging Maureen, my wife, last night, and makes me really happy, because I was like a 4th-year guy, didn't have a great career yet until that year, and then he led the country in hits. Like, think about that. Those guys text me all the time, and we'll never get that back. But that was such a special time in my life. I didn't have one player that had ever been to the NCAA tournament, let alone the College World Series, on that Arizona team that did that. Nobody expected anything from us, and to have the season that those guys put together, and there's nothing about that will ever change how I feel about those guys. When we won in 23, I did text a lot of them, and I said, hey, it'll never change it, but I feel like I got a part of this back, and I wanted them to know like that they were in my thoughts when we won. But as far as now, like, I love those guys, whether it's Cameron Ming, Nathan Bannister, Bobby Dahlbeck, JJ Matijevic, Alfonso Rivas, I owe a lot of my life to those guys, the same as I feel about this team or the 23 team or guys that didn't get here and win it, like Luke Holman, or Jacob Berry, those types of guys. So, they're pretty awesome. I heard from a lot of them last night.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.